Well, hello there, gamers, and welcome to the WSBG commentary for the 2023 Ring Finals for Castles of Burgundy. We are in the board game studio today, and this is Professor Meg. Today with me, I have...
Alex Radcliffe.
And we are going to jump right into this. This is an exciting match that we are going to see. This is 3 players only playing in the finals for Castles of Burgundy. A well-loved game on the Board Game Co. channel, I may say.
Although, before we do dive into it, we should note to those watching, if you are interested in attending WSBG 2024, you can do so by going ahead to the website, purchasing a ticket pass. If you use the coupon code IAMIN, that's capital I, A-M, capital I-N, I-M-IN, you can save $50 on a ticket. It's a show. I am in. Or they're not yet.
My Massachusetts
They're not
accent.
yet, but they will be soon. I do highly recommend going to the Castle of Burgundy. I do highly recommend going to the WSBG of 2024.
I recommend going to the Castles of Burgundy.
I do recommend that one as well. It is one of my favorite games of all time. But with that, you can go ahead and check that out. We'll have links, of course, down below. But with that, Meg, shall we start the commentary?
Let's go. I'm ready to see what our finalists have in store.
Excellent. We're going to dive in.
It's not like we were there and we know what will happen.
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything.
Do you know?
I kind of know.
Let's go ahead and dive into this. We play a lot of Castle of Burgundy. We're going to go ahead and dive into this over here.
I also want to note that we do seem very much like we're newscasters right now. These glasses are not for show. I need them to be able to see the iPad. Just because it seems like they might be fake.
You said these glasses, and I thought you meant these. I was like, how do you see the iPad with these glasses?
No, I don't know, because it seems like these could be fake. This is the only reason you're seeing them today, is because I can't see that far.
In any case, we're going to go ahead and jump in as they are starting setup of the Castle of Burgundy. Now, the way this works in WSBG is they are all playing with the same player board to have it as equal as possible. So if you're used to, playing Castle of Burgundy on different player boards, that would be why you're seeing a difference. We have Shaw, Jim, and Angela over here. We have Shaw in the upper left. We have Angela in the, middle, and then we have Jim on the upper right. And they're all diving into this, starting their setup. They just went ahead and did a 1, 2, 3 placement. So they all mentally selected their initial placement. You can see over there how they have their board. Jim placed his castle, it looks like, in the middle. As did Angela, and Shaw went for a top placement. Now, Meg, looking at that board, where would you place a castle with that particular board?
So this is a board, so I do play a lot of Castles of Burgundy.
This is the 6 river.
And I don't love this board. When I get this board and I'm stuck with it, it's fine. There are a lot of single areas to go for, but you do have that full river, which means everyone is going to be vying for water, for the sailboats. And you also need that to be able to move over to the other beige tiles.
Yes.
So it is very tricky. I do believe when I play with this board, I tend to start there or down on the bottom left, because that puts you right next to a mine, which then links up to the beige tiles, and it gives you the left for the yellow.
Yeah. Instinctively, I agree with you. I tend to like the bottom left, and I also don't like this board.
The center is a really good one, though, especially if you're someone... I think that the player count really changes this as well. So I think that the center is a good strategy for higher player counts, because being able to spread out to all of the beige tiles, I think, is most optimal.
Yeah. And I find that I agree with you on this board. I don't love this board because I usually am not someone who goes for all the boats. But I also am someone who finds that if you have a 6 spot, try to fill it. That's 36 points for you. You want to go ahead. Is it 36? Am I doing that right? I think it's 36 points. No. That's an 8 spot. That'd be 36.
I don't have those.
There's a mathematical formula for this. It's 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21. It's going to be 21 points. Yeah, that formula, it's a common formula you'll see in board games in general, where every layer is the sum of the layers before. So not sort of the sum, think pyramid structure. So 1, then 2, that's going to be 3 together. Then you have 3 underneath it, that's 6 together. Then you have 4 underneath it, which is 10 together. 5 underneath that, which is 15. 6 underneath that, I believe a 7 spot would be 28 points, and an 8 spot would be 36 points.
And if you have a friend that knows that formula, you never have to remember it.
Or if you look at the board, it's also printed on the board.
Well, yeah, for that.
Yeah.
But I also, for me, and I'm sure this is a strategy for anyone who loves Castles of Burgundy, I love going for the single spots first. The lower ones. And usually water is one that you can rely on to be quick points. And it also moves you up in the initiative track. And for this, basically everyone is vying to go up the initiative track, but no one is going to get points until it's filled.
Yeah. It is one of my less favorite boards, although knowing how much you hate it does make me feel better too.
Yeah, it's that, and I hate there's one where to get to the castle, there are 3 farm ones blocking it, so you have to play at least 1 farm tile, and I hate playing farm tiles. That map's not good either.
Yeah, now the board is a bit shaky on this one.
Like
that's going to be the camera structure over here is a little shaky, so if you see a little bit of shaky cam, that's not you, that's the current display. Angela did just went ahead and drafted a building tile as well as a mine. That's going to be she's prepping for that initial mine placement. And mine placement's an interesting one, because I find if I can get access to that early mine, I kind of start going from as fast as possible. For me personally, if I don't, I kind of just say, forget it, it's fine. Let other people try to snap them up, and I'll focus on other areas of the board.
So the thing about the mine that is multiple strategies is that it's not just early income that you'll get round over round, it is the fastest one to complete.
Yes.
So that is an immediate points that you can grab from anyone else for the placement bonus.
Yeah, it looks like Jim went ahead and took a water, starting at race off for first player, which does make sense to an extent. The question as the first player is, do you want to lock in your first player lead, or do you want to rely on the fact that everyone's trying to chase different things? And particularly this board's interesting because specifically that whole thing we just went on about the nature of the board means normally in a game of Castle of Burgundy, if you're first player, you know other players are trying to snatch up those single spots, so you want to lock your lead in and keep it safe. Versus this board is a little bit of a question mark. Do you want to chase that knowing that you're giving up the opportunity to complete singles? There's a bit more of incentive for Angela to say, forget it. Let's see how other players address the board before I try to aggressively lock in a tile I may not want to place this round.
I'm honestly really surprised that no one placed on the bottom, because knowing that everyone is going to be fighting for water, being able to sit back and just build out the farm tiles, I think that's a great strategy as well, and I'm really surprised no one just took that from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree. Then again, keep in mind, neither one of us have scored in Castle Burgundy WSBG yet, so you have no idea if we're actually good players. We play a lot.
I'm really good.
Doesn't mean we're good.
I'll say it. I've won a WSBG.
Yeah, but not Castle Burgundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Castle Burgundy is a whole different conversation.
Yep. It certainly is. It's such a great game. If none of you have played it, or not if none of you have played it, if anyone out there hasn't played it, it's on BGA.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. You can play it on BGA. I highly recommend that. In fact, most of the games from WSBG are playable on BGA. So if you're looking for that opportunity to play great games and practice as you go ahead and use your coupon code IAMIN for WSBG 2024, BGA is a great place to make sure you experience and try those games. Part of what you want to be mindful of WSBG is you have to come in with a game that you think you're good at, but then even if you win that, you have to win at least 2 more games to become the World Series of Board Games champion winner. So you have to kind of know a variety of the games and not just walk in knowing a single title. Past that, this game, Castle of Burgundy, is available in a 2011 version, I want to say, which is the original version. You can find that fairly cheaply nowadays.
And this is what's played at...
This one's the 2019 version.
Oh, right,
So the 2019 version is the one that's being played at WSBG. And then, of course, there's the Awakened Realms Deluxeified version, which is certainly not the one played at WSBG.
But it's pretty nice.
But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. How did you enjoy the Vineyards expansion?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I think it is just adding more to it, where it's a game that I know very well.
Yeah.
I think that the thing about something like that is when I played it, I was playing with some people that were a little bit newer to Castles of Burgundy, because Alicia played that game, right?
Not with Vineyards. Vineyards you played with AP.
Oh, okay, right. And same situation.
Still newer. He's experienced the game.
So I feel like for something like that, adding an expansion to Castles of Burgundy, if you've played a lot and you're playing with someone who hasn't, it does feel a little mean.
Yeah.
It was fun for me, but it's one of those things where if you're running away in a friendly game, not a competitive game, it can kind of get,
Let's catch you up what's going on in the game over here. We have Shaw placing that first castle over there. She's locking in both an early one placement spot. And again, going to things we touched upon over here. In Castle Burgundy, there's multiple trade-offs. Everything you do is a trade-off, but locking in an early one spot, whenever you complete an area, you get points for the size of the area and for the round. The earlier in the game, the more points you get. Which means locking in those 1 or 2s early on does get you a bunch of extra points, and Shaw's taking advantage of that, locking in a first castle. A castle will give you a free bonus play with a wild die,
Where do you see but I think that's just her starting castle.
Oh, that's a completely accurate point. I completely lied. Shaw's not locking her starting castle.
I was I don't think anyone's grabbed a castle
I believe she's sold
because they're all pretty far from the other ones. Although, Jim
grabbed a castle. That's why I lost track. Got too distracted down the rabbit hole of strategy here.
Yep, and honestly, I believe the other tile Jim has is the Town Hall one. So if he can place with the 6, he can immediately place his castle and draft anything he wants.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a good call. The 6 over there. Yeah. We have Angela
Unless
with the
he
mine.
would want to sell a good. I'm not sure how much money he has. If he has 1 money, that's also a good call to sell a good and then take a center tile.
Now keep in mind as well, we do have Angela did decide to go after another boat after Jim took one. So she does want to lock in her first place lead. She just didn't want to unnecessarily do so.
And it may not be that she's going for boats necessarily, but just that she wants to be higher up on the initiative track right now.
Yep. Now, Angela did just do my favorite move in Castle of Burgundy, which is taking a sip of coffee as you play.
I'm the one that has coffee. It's delicious.
I didn't say I always get to do my favorite move, but this, unfortunately, is just water. It is what it is. We're trying our best here.
So Jim now has 3 tiles, which means he'll need to place one. You can discard a tile to draft more, but...
He is indeed doing what you called. He used his 6 good call and placement.
And he might place his other building after that.
Yeah, instinctively, I think he's likely to take from the center of the board.
There's so much on the board that I would take from the board.
That's what I think.
But he would complete, I believe that's a 2 area there, because it's a mine as well.
Yeah,
so
but we still have 2 more rounds here. Instinctively, one of the things, again, as you get to the end, Castle Burgundy is divided up into 5 rounds, and then with each round there's 5 turns, and within each turn there's 2 dice placements, as well as the opportunity to buy a tile.
Honestly, if I were him, I would take another boat.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, the boat. And boat's an interesting call.
Because Angela moved up that I would...
He did
complete it. He is placing again.
He is completing it. Interesting. I wonder if that means he's using his extra silverling to buy from the middle. Although with 3 boats in the middle, there's not a rush on that.
Well, there's also another placement one. And I wonder if he would just go for another town hall to place to the other side of his boat for an extra placement in future turns. That one is also great.
No, that's 9. That's 9, right? 33.
Yeah, he is locking those early placements. So again, he got 3 points for that, plus 10 points for the round. That's a 13-point placement by completing the region. He has his silverlings. He put his extra silverling into his depot.
And he completed the castle the same round.
And he completed the castle, yeah.
So that's 2 regions.
Yeah, it's another 11 points. That's 24 points of completion this round.
Such
plus the fact that he sold a good.
I love round 1, when you can grab all those 10 points.
And he's choosing not to buy anything, which I think makes sense, because I think he is probably eyeing those boats, and there's no rush. With 3 boats,
I would have bought that extra town hall, where he's already played one, having 2, hoping that the monastery that scores for it comes out, and it's just a free placement. That's a free action in the game. I think it's a great tile.
You have Angela placing...
But Jim may only be at 1 silverling, I'm not sure.
Jim, I believe unless he bought a tile, which I missed, then I would believe he'd have to be at 2.
Okay.
You start with the silverling, Castle of Burgundy. The sale of his goods is going to bring him a 2nd silverling. I believe Angela and Shaw only have 1 silverling, but I'm not certain about that fully. Because
someone did buy something.
Oh, that's a good point. Then I think Shaw instinctively... It looks like Shaw's missing the silverling, so that makes sense that Shaw would have bought it.
Yep, I agree.
And Angela just went ahead and placed the mine, scoring 11 points. So again, that's going to lock in. That mine's going to give her a silverling of income every single round. It's a good first round placement. It effectively buys you, first of all, a point at the end of the game, because you're still going to get that silverling at the end of the game. But with 4 silverlings coming to you, because of rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, effectively, that means she just bought herself 2 free tiles with that mine. That early game mine is a strong move. Then again, this is Castle Burgundy. There's a lot of early game strong moves.
Yes.
Shaw's going ahead. I believe is that the bank? I can't tell well from here. I think that's the bank she just placed.
I do think so.
And she got her 13 points. And yes, she must have sold those good earlier, because she went from 3 to 16. So those 3 points in a 3-player game, sold goods are going to be worth 3 points each. And she's going ahead and placing her science tile as well. Monastery tile. I always call them science tiles. I don't know why. Yeah, because what?
7 wonders, I think.
I just think instinctively abilities come from science, not monasteries. It's like the monks are praying, and now I can go ahead and place buildings of the same type in the same region. I don't know if I get that.
You have, like, prestige with them.
Good dice 1.
Now, Angela did go back to being first player once again, so she's currently again taking those frozen tiles. She placed her boat last round. Not something that's going to score points, but it will give her access to the other side of the river, although, again, it's another 6th spot. This game is a very interesting one because it really forces the whole first half of your game to be on one side of the board, unless you play aggressively towards the other half, which isn't nearly, it's not always optimal. It depends on how you're playing things.
And there is enough water that comes out in a 3-player game that I think you can go for boats.
Yeah. One of the nice things about the boat strategy is you kind of have a few ways to play it. You can either just get the boats when you want them, or you could aggressively try to demoralize the other players into not bothering to chase you.
Yeah.
It is something you can do. You get 2 or 3 boats up on somebody, and they're like, oh, the amount of work I have to spend, and now you're first player for the rest of the game.
But when that happens, you usually don't get a great amount of goods, whereas those people toward the end can scoop up so many goods from 100%. Those depots.
A common trend you'll hear us say throughout this video is there's so many ways to play this.
There's so many ways. But there is a right way. So she did take some animals.
Yep.
Which I think is great. That's a little too region area. And it looks like she also has the, I think it's the chapel, which lets you take a yellow... a
mine, a castle, or a... Science.
Or monastery.
Monastery. I'll say science multiple times throughout this video. It is what it is.
A science monastery. Yeah, I was curious to see who would try the animal strategy for this.
Just so we're on the same page. That top camera's on and recording our audio, right?
Yep.
Cool.
See your cam gone?
Yep.
The camera isn't recording, but Streamlabs is recording the audio.
Just making sure our technical issues are all sorted out here.
Hopefully this is fine. I think it's fine. If this video's out, you know it was fine. Alex, how do you think you would feel in this position? Do you think that your nerves would take over, or do you think you would be able to play a clean game?
I don't think nerves would affect me in this game. I'm not saying I'd win. Make no mistake with that. But I don't think I'd be that nervous. There's not a real-time element. I don't think I'd be panicking. As well as, this is also not a game where there's as much direct play interaction. Yes. If I was playing Blood Rage, I could see my nerves affecting how I play. But a game like this, I'm just here to play my game. I think the area where I'd be more hesitant is sometimes when I'm playing Castle Burgundy, I go for the slightly suboptimal play, hoping that the tile I want will still be there because the other one won't. I think those kinds of decisions I'd be a bit more nervous about. And I'd probably be a drop more conservative, which I think you have to be, but...
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I get nervous where it changes anything I do. But I noticed when I was playing Terraforming Mars, some of the time my hands were shaking. That I was trying to do certain pieces on the board and my hands were shaking. I was like, I must be so nervous. And I wasn't that nervous, but I was definitely having a reaction to being in that environment.
I mean, my dream situation, I will hopefully be contesting in WSBG 2024. My dream situation is like I win at one of my offshoot games and Castle Burgundy is the final game. That's my dream situation because...
Certainly.
I mean, the nerves would definitely escalate. Not just the competition, but when you have $40,000 on the line, I think that changes the level of nerves. Versus just the idea that you could have $40,000 on the line, that's not the same. We do actually now finally have Jim placing a second castle, so you went ahead and do that. Oh, he did it earlier. You called that. It's all good. It's all good.
We're here now. This is the last turn of this round.
Yes.
So after this, we'll see, I think this round is where we'll see a lot of people fighting for that control. You can see that Shaw has 2 boats already prepped, which I think will put her ahead in initiative.
Yeah.
Jim would have to play the one he has, draw one and play another one. So I think that Shaw will have control, which I'm sure she was planning. Which is, I think, a great plan to hold it and then play it last round. If you're the last player of the round, you have that advantage that you can play boats and then be the first player of the next round. Yeah. It's really great.
Because the way it works in Castle Burgundy, the way initiative works is whoever the most recent person to take that specific spot in initiative order is going to be first. So being last gives you that edge of the slight ability to catch up. You do have to rely on getting the right dice, obviously. But Shaw has 3 possible placements with 1, 3, and 5. So that gives you some degree of flexibility, especially with workers. So there's definitely tools at her disposal to ensure she locks in that first player.
And I do believe she has some workers.
Yes, she
as
does.
Well.
Looks
And
like Jin
this
does
situation
as well.
doesn't really matter, but where she could place the 1, if the 5 below it were a different number, she has even more flexibility.
Yes.
But where there are 2 5s, that doesn't actually happen.
So your double's over. We'll just pass the day.
Please don't. Well, unless there are like 5s.
Now, while they plan out their turn, this is a good time to call out one of the sponsors of WSBG, which is Game Theory Tables. Game Theory Tables, maker of a fantastic wide range of tables. They currently, or depending on exactly when you watch this, have a crowdfunding campaign for their new giant, I believe it's called the, I can't remember, the Arena, I think it's called? The Arena. It's a giant plexiglass table with a full screen.
The LEDs.
The full LED screen, touch screen, built into the table.
Not just that, but I think it's all lit as well.
This one, I believe we saw this at either Gen Con, perhaps, Gen Con, but they currently have that on crowdfunding. But check out Game Theory Tables for all your board game tables needs.
They also have a dog that they bring around to some of the shows.
Not
so,
for sale.
You know you love the company.
Dogs not for sale.
They have, but they're dog people.
You don't want to
Sure enough, Shaw went ahead and placed the 1 and the 3 boats, so she locked those in.
Just never play boats. I don't like them. I don't know why, but on this board you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So Shaw is exactly just echoing what we just said. She's not a boat person, but on this board you have to. It changes the dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. You at least have to place 1, which I am a boat person, but in a situation, again, there's one board that locks you into having to play an animal.
Castle
Yeah.
are always
Always
castle.
the same.
Yes.
Never my jam.
Change. Just go with the 5.
Now they are going through the process of resetting the board now, so we're going to be going to see how that plays out.
Put a castle down then.
But yeah, it is interesting. I like Shaw already. I like the fact that she's not a boat person, feels forced into it by the board. I feel a kindred sense of spirit here.
You're not a boat person?
No.
In
Real life?
No,
No.
I'm not in castles.
No. I reluctantly acknowledge that there are times where it's essential. I think the time when I'm most often the boat person is when you have a 5 or 6 terrain of farmland where I want to get those animals in. That is usually the most common situation in which I'll be a boat person, because if you have like a field of 5 and you have 4 cows, somebody's going to have to deny that cow. And there's usually a spot where they can put it, which it even helps them. It's not a full denial turn. But that means that I want to lock in that first player as much as possible when I have a large farmland that I'm going for.
Interesting.
The rest of the time, I'm like, hey, you go ahead and chase those boats. I'll get other things done in the meantime. I'll fill out my board. I'll do my stuff. I'll go for a few of them. You need to play that fight a little bit. Like, I'll get a few first turns in and a few closed off tile spots, but I'm not an aggressive boat person.
I am, but I'm sure this is what makes, the most sense to everybody, but I am an aggressive beige tile and castle person, because the first thing I always prioritize and look for is free actions.
Yeah.
Anything that gives you a free action, take it, because that's more actions than anyone else will get, and that's really the only way to optimize the game. So the town hall that lets you place one, the warehouse that lets you grab another beige. Secondary best is the
Mines,
the one that lets you
banks,
grab
a bank effectively, or mines. They give you money, which is free
Yep.
actions.
And then there's the one that lets you grab blue.
Yep.
Those are the best. Those are all the best. Secondary tier is like the one that lets you take an extra sell action. Gets you income, lets you do a sell action, but we're ever going to do that sell action?
It's half an action. That's all it is. Yeah, boats give you better actions. Everything else gives you more. Well, boats give you better actions. Farmland gives you points. And a lot of the other things in the game give you, well, science as a whole. Monasteries are the whole category. But then I like those extra actions. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Now we are seeing some lock-in on those tiles already for the farmland, trying to close off that pasture and double up on the points in it.
3.
Spending a worker on the first turn when you have so many options is always an interesting one. The question is, how important is that thing to you? Because there's usually a lot of good options. So the question is
It was for a castle, though.
Which I respect that. I do.
Yeah.
Instinctively, I still don't go for it. When I have a lot of good options in the game, I usually just go for a variety of whatever the good options might be, and I save those workers for when my option is no action or
And
a
it does
action.
look like there's a castle to purchase. So I think in that moment, I would have maybe tried to sell goods. If
she has no silverlings at the moment, so maybe kind of two sale actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Angela's the only one with currently money, although I'm not sure. Jim might have on the top right of his board. It doesn't look like it, though.
He does not have any mines.
Yeah. He has 2 mines locked into his board, though.
Right.
Ready, prepped to place.
Income coming soon.
Yeah, for me, the first and second rounds are kind of where I see how my mine game goes out. By the time we hit the third round, I'm only taking mines if they can just get me extra points. They still have a benefit. It's just an inherently reduced benefit as the game goes on, which it's just a fascinating way the game plays with this one separate tile that is so strong at the beginning and low as the game goes on. For the most of the other tiles, it's not as clearly the case.
Yeah.
Some of the monastery tiles, I guess, because they give you actions.
Absolutely. Yeah, the most frustrating thing is when you need one last beige tile, and the only ones there are like the warehouse. It's like, I don't want to grab a second one. Well, no, the tower is great. It's the ones that would let you grab more things, like the chapel.
Oh, literally the warehouse. Oh, gotcha.
Right,
yes.
or like the chapel when you've already played all your yellow and...
Yeah.
You know. It's like, well, I can't grab anything anyway. The worst mistake to make in this game is buying tiles you're not able to place. I've made that mistake sometimes where I'm not connected to somewhere I need to be and not realize because it's such a good, like, going for the mine and then being like, I needed water to get there and now I can't purchase enough.
And now you're stuck with a tile in your depot that you have to take up one of your 3 precious spots and decide how long are you going to limit and hamstring yourself for that eventual placement.
But we play this game a lot. My favorite thing to do is to hate draft at the end.
Oh, I'm aware. That only works as strongly in a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you are second place in a game with somebody who is a clear first place, it can be relevant, but it's usually a 2-player strategy to hate draft.
Yeah, I'm someone that if I've placed everything I need, I will still draft the mine just to throw it out. Which honestly, when you can deny someone like a 6-point region, it's really worth it. Alright. So we're getting toward the end of this round that I'm sure they're starting to make their decisions of what will be played, what can they still grab. Shaw does have a full
depot. Yeah.
And so does Jim.
Yeah. Jim's still got those 2 mines to place.
So Angela can still draft from the board, but they're going to have to spend some time playing them.
I mean, speaking of that, if I can see Jim's board correctly, I believe Jim can only touch 2 of the mines. Only touch 1 of the mines right now. The other one he's going to have to get access to.
Well, no, he can touch 2.
Where's the 3rd mine placement?
The 2 3s.
I see the 3, the 1. Where's the... Oh, there. No, my bad. Yep, you're right. Good call. Sorry, we're staring at this screen on a very small iPad.
Well, it's a pretty big iPad.
It's a regular size iPad that is not as close to our eyes as you might think.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a little far away. So that you can't see it.
Jim's going ahead. I wonder if he's grabbing... Nope. I thought he might be grabbing the boat, but he's placing.
And what is it?
I am surprised he's not grabbing that boat. I mean, we got 3 boats on the board.
That's going to grab him a boat. I think that's what
is that what he's doing?
I believe that's what that tile is. Yep.
Okay. Good call.
Yeah. He was using that, and now he might immediately play the boat and sit on those mines.
He does have the 1, yeah. He's just desperately hoping for 3s. And that's a tricky placement in general. Sometimes you get 2 locked up in, well, everything works as long as I get a 3 or a 5.
Yeah.
And sometimes 3 turns can go by and you don't get that 3 or the 5. Those are... Castle Burgundy is a great game, but I would say once every, 20 games, you have one of those games that makes you, just hate the fact that dice are dice.
You just can't. It's when your depot gets clogged up and you just can't play. Your tiles.
And you're like, at what point do I give up and cash in for workers, trade in a die, versus at what point do I rely on the fact that the odds have to balance out at some point?
And if you think about the thing I was saying about actions, it's everyone else is getting 2 actions per turn and you're only getting 1 because you're just fixing the dice you rolled. It can be tough. Something that I did think was fun when we played with the Awakened Realms version is the beige tile that lets you play the white die.
Yeah, it's
now
a fun
I believe
tile.
that's not in play in this version, but that is a fun tile.
It is a available expansion module, but it's not the default.
I see.
Yeah. The Awakened Realms expansion introduced, well, deluxified the entire game in general, but it also added the Vineyards expansion. It may have added the Shills module, but even that I'm not sure. Castle Burgundy is a game that the original Castle Burgundy came out and they had the base game, and they had tons of separate modules you can get your hands on in one way or another. When the 2019 version came out, it kind of bundled in most, if not all, of those modules into the base game, so now they're part of the game. There's still modules. There's trade routes. There's the little white buildings. There's a little crane that acts as a wild building. There's the wild animal. There's like the white. There's a bunch of these things. There's the ones that effectively enlarge a certain tile type. I don't recall it, but it's a little expansion module where it's a tile that when you place it, it treats the thing as one size larger. So if you place it into a 6, it's now a size 7 region.
That's cool.
It has no other benefit. It's just adding to your score, which is particularly helpful. If you're scoring like a 7-point region and you turn into an 8-point region, that is a big deal. Yeah, it's a big chunk of points.
Or even 6 to 7 is also a big jump.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Shills module is the only one I'm not sure if that was specifically to Awakened Realms. Awakened Realms introduced the Vineyards. I believe it introduced a new solo mode, so there's a new way to play solo. It introduced a lot of additional player boards.
I have never played this game solo.
There's 2 ways to play it solo.
What are they, Alex?
I have not played this game solo. The 2 ways to play it solo, I believe one way is a autonomous player. I believe designed by, David Tursi, I believe, and it adds an autonomous player to the game, so you're playing against a fictional other opponent. And then the other way is, I think, a beat your own score kind of situation. Again, I played a lot of editions of Castle Burgundy. I played it in person. I played it online. I played it at all player accounts except for one, and I played with I think all the expansion modules. Now, the only way I have not played this game so far is solo and team-based play.
I've never heard of team-based play.
There is team-based play.
That's interesting. And so, there is one board.
Yes.
That's considered very good.
Yes.
Is that also not used in WSBG?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. It is board 8. Board 8 is considered to be slightly broken. And I don't know if the Awakened Realms edition changed that, because they have changed that. But board 8 is considered to be slightly more powerful on average compared to other boards.
Is it because it's an 8 region of farm?
I don't remember. It might be.
No, that's not possible. There's only 6 farm spots.
I think that
it's something like that.
In WSBG, because of the fact that they give all players the same board, I don't know if it would matter that it's a little bit more broken.
Right.
So I don't know the actual rules around board.
I believe it's about the animals. Maybe it's that it's a 6-point animal, and there's also an 8-point region for like beach or something. It's something like that.
Now, I do believe the additional thing in Castle Burgundy that's considered to be a bit overpowered is the science tile that lets you buy 2 tiles from anywhere with workers. And that was something that was updated, Tile 6.
Yeah.
That was updated in the Awakened Realms version.
We stand Tile 6.
And I believe the WSBG rules...
By the way, it's Monastery, not Science, in case you guys are curious.
I believe the WSBG rules do edit that tile to go by the new version of it, where you can only buy building tiles, not any tile. So it limits its flexibility.
Yeah, but you can buy with 2 workers or 2 coins from anywhere, which is great.
Still powerful.
That means you can turn 1 die into any beige draft you want.
Yeah, nearly any beige draft now.
Well, any beige draft.
Any beige draft. Any beige draft. Nearly any draft.
Yeah. I shouldn't tease you for the science thing, because I keep saying beige.
I don't mind at all.
And not buildings.
I am confident in the fact that it should have been science.
It should have been science.
Now we do have Jim pulling ahead on the water, on the boat tiles, locking in that first player, making it a little harder for any player to really say they want to compete with him there.
Yeah, and he is very much ahead. But again, those depots will get more and more tempting as they get more goods on them.
One of the interesting things about the game is that the trade goods you're taking scale based on player count. So at a 2-player game, that's because there's more entering the game relative to the player distribution. So at a 2-player game, they're only worth 2 each. At a 4-player game, they're worth 4 points each. At a 3-player game, they're worth 3 points each. So that means, especially for someone who plays the game normally at 2 players, you want to kind of take into account that being able to sell 3 or 4 goods in a 4-player count is so much more powerful than a 2-player count. You get those chunks of points that you don't otherwise get your hands on.
Which, again, makes the boats more powerful.
We do see Angela just went ahead and pulled in, locking in her second place points, her second place spot, so she can get the second tile instead of the third, which again matters.
What second tiles?
She's locked in second turn order.
Oh. I mean, not necessarily though. Do you mean for the next round?
No, just for right now. She took a second right now. But no, there's still tiles. There's still bow tiles out, and that's definitely still anyone's game for the next round.
And we did notice that Shaw did that at the end of the first round, that she made sure she had priority for the next round. Now, as you said, Jim made it kind of hard to keep up with him, but she does have another castle that I think she will try to get ahead of Angela. Angela does have a pretty strong, I'm not sure which one the black ones are. Goats? Sheep?
Goats. The sheep are not the black
It does
ones.
look like she has a pretty good area going on there, though. I can't see exactly what she has, but I think they're both 4.
Yeah, and currently Angela is lagging in points, although I will say that's not something that scares me at all in this game. I tend to be a late bloomer in Castle Burgundy and honestly life in general, but Castle Burgundy is one that it's a game that you can get a lot of points early on through a lot of actions, but you can also get a lot of points, well, later on through a lot of actions and through a lot of things following.
And it seems like that's what Angela's building over there, that if she can get higher point animals for those 2 bottom spots and play both of those castles, that's going to be a strong few turns for her.
Yeah.
Is that section? No, not yet.
I do think I would have played most similarly to Jim. That would be my board right now. Just running ahead.
I would not. I'm currently in the Shaw or Angela camp in the way I play. Instinctively a bit Angela. I mean, especially the fact that you got to look at what other people are doing in the game too. When other people aren't vying for animals as strongly, it makes it a slightly stronger play. So I can see myself being a bit more of an Angela in this one.
But it does seem like Shaw is grabbing more monasteries, which I do think also lends to how you play.
Science tiles.
And just took 4 workers.
Yeah, one of my least and most favorite buildings at the same time.
Yes.
The
I find
4
that
workers one is so good.
Well, it gives you a lot of flexibility, but instinctively when I'm playing the game, I'm like, I don't want flexibility. I want perfect dice rolls. That's not how the world works, but that's what I want.
The best thing that you can do is the one that gains you the 4 workers when you have that monastery that gets you by anyone for 2. But again, any beige.
And the one that gives you points for the 4 workers.
Yes.
Get those 3 and you are...
You can use... Well, you can't.
There's a lot of things that tangent nicely. I really appreciate also the combination of being able to buy those extra workers and the one, if you can get both the monastery tiles that give you an additional 2 workers when you trade in a die and an additional silverling. This game has moments where
there's
you feel...
a lot of synergy.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of my strategy can depend on which monasteries come out round 1.
Of course, yeah.
By now, they kind of are in their paths. I mean, they do still... I would say the next round is most pivotal for them to decide exactly what they're going for. And then after that, they're just going to go head forward toward their goals.
Very nice.
Jim needs to sell some goods so that he has more room to pick some up.
Wasn't your stuff.
Yeah, none of the goods currently out do match his available goods, so...
It's tough.
And he's playing that boat strategy, although technically he has some time because no one's rushing to keep up. There's not an aggressive need to finish those right now.
Although if he finishes it next round, that is an incentive for more points as opposed to waiting till future rounds.
Yeah.
To me, when I'm playing this, round A and B, I try to get as many regions completed as possible. Round C, I'm like, okay, anything else that I can do? And then after that, I'm going for what I want to collect for things as opposed to trying to complete regions in the last 2 rounds. We should play Castles of Burgundy after this.
We do play Castles of Burgundy.
I'm like tempted to be playing it while we're watching.
We're currently in the middle of a 4-player roundup of myself, yourself, Jenna from the Board Game Garden, fantastic channel, you should check her out, and then Gray from Gray Baker, who is actually a 2-time ring winner from WSBG for, I believe, is it Splendor and Dune?
Yes, and creator of Potions of Azerland.
That's another good shout out there. But yeah, we're currently involved in a round-robin sequence of playing through the games that we think we're competing in, just going game after game.
If you guys aren't sure if you want to play in WSBG 2024, guess who is playing in WSBG 2024?
Guess who's
competing?
Guess who's going to be losing in round 1?
Guess who you can play against?
Probably me.
Quite a few. All 4 of those people in the game of Castles of Burgundy.
Are they all entering for Castles? I'm not sure.
Oh, well, no, they're just all entering.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're going to enter for Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah. I'll be playing Castle of Burgundy. That one's for sure. I have some others I might be. Yeah. No, I'm saying I'll be for sure. But like the other games I'm not yet 100% sure of, but Castle of Burgundy I will be playing in.
I like the idea of winning in something else to then play Castles of Burgundy against even higher level players.
But you can't guarantee that, unfortunately.
I know.
The way the WSBG is structured, in case you want to have that as a little interlude over here. Actually, you know what? Let's finish the round over here, and then while they're setting up for the next round, I'll give you the WSBG breakdown. So Angela taking some Silverlings over there.
Then Shaw will have her turn. Which Shaw currently has no tiles?
There's no tiles, but there is a boat left on the board. So there's a theoretical ability to lock in second place, but
Which
second turn order.
I do think she would try to do if she's able to.
Does not look like it's happening.
No.
I think it does look to a certain extent.
Oh, but she completed a region.
That's going to be 9 points, I believe. Well, 8 points for the round, and then 6 points for the region. 15 total. Sorry, 14 total.
Yeah.
I know the scores, I just don't do the math.
One for good luck.
One for good luck. Yeah, let's try that in the WSBG. Oh, you don't play that way? I always take one for good luck. That's the new module right there. I always win my games. Do the other players get luck points? No, I get good luck points.
Now, something very important to note that I don't think we've brought up, but for those of you that don't know the game, for all of those building tiles, you can only place 1 per region. So there is a monastery that lets you break that, but unless you have that yellow tile, you can only place 1 per region, which is why they aren't going for all of the best ones and just playing those immediately. It does force you to spread them out that you can only place so many per board.
Yeah.
That was something that I had a very hard time learning when I first learned the game because I missed that in the very first teach. And then after that, I was like, I need to do what? But that's something that could be a very serious mess up in something like WSBG.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you draft something that you think you're able to play and then you're not able to play it, that can cost you an entire turn.
Now going back to that WSBG breakdown, as I mentioned, the way it works is in WSBG you enter the variety of ring tournaments you want to enter and see how far you can get. The winners of those ring tournaments, so if you win at Castle of Burgundy, then you're going to be put into a random assortment where all the 4 winners at the 4 games they have, so say you have Castle of Burgundy, Ticket to Ride, Lost Rings of Arnak, and Dune Imperium, if those 4 winners are all playing a game together, they're all going to be playing a game that is not one of those 4 games. So inherently it'll be one of the other 12 available games is what they'll be playing. From there, if you win from there, then you now go to the final 4. So the final 4 players have effectively inherently eliminated 8 games because they've all won at the first round and the second round.
That tile I just talked about just came
one.
out so that you can play multiple buildings in the same area. I think someone is going to go for that very quickly.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you have that, by the time you get to the 3rd round, which is where you determine the winner, you've eliminated 8 games by the nature of those are the 8 games that have been played by those 4 players. They've each played and won 2 games each. And then from the remaining 8, they all get a veto option. So there's 8 games left. They all get a blind veto, so they can go ahead and say, I don't want to play Ark Nova. I don't want to play Terraforming Mars. And they all submit their blind veto. Those are all called out at the same time. So you might have 2 players who vetoed the same game, and it is what it is. You can't know that. You have to go with the best options. And then lastly, from the remaining games left, which will inherently be a maximum of 7 games and a minimum of, I guess, 4 games left. Between 4 and 7 games will be left for the final players, depending on how they vetoed. And then you blind draw to see which game is played. That means you have to be proficient at least 3 games, and you don't have the control outside of the first one of which those games will be proficient. And we do have on the board, we have a bunch of animal tiles. I can't tell 100%. I don't think any of Angela's tiles are on the board right now. Her farmland tiles, I can't tell 100% sure, but looking at the board, does not look like it. I don't see more goats. No. I don't think so.
I think it is, but less. I think that's 2 goats down at the bottom.
It's, again, we're far away from the screen, so it could be.
Yeah.
But I don't believe so. I think it's pigs.
It's 2 goats. Can we pull closer for 1 second?
Excuse us as we go ahead and do
Excuse us, we need to investigate the animals.
That's pigs.
I don't know.
Pigs, maybe.
Oh, yeah, those 2 look the same.
Yeah.
They're just twisted.
Yeah.
Alright.
Tiles do exist at multiple viewing angles.
Yeah. But she does, if she's also going for the award for it, she could go for the pigs that are in the central place for her little 2 area up at the top. That's a great strategy. She did only have 1 mine, so I'm not sure exactly how much income she has, but it does look like she has something she could sell.
No, it looks like Jim is continuing his pursuit of, I think he did just grab one of those tiles that will let him, oh, he's taking the mine. Oh, so Jim's going to be completing his mine this turn. That's going to require another 3 for him.
Now, does he have 2 mines?
He does indeed.
So, I think between that, and he only needs 1 more capsule and 2 more waters, and he has those awards.
Jim's definitely starting to be a competitive player. Although I will say, Shaw currently has the lead in points, with Jim shortly behind and Angela again further behind.
Now, I don't think we've explained yet how animals score.
No, go ahead, do it. Take the lead.
So for animals, I think I need your help with one part because I misunderstood when I first played. But animals will have a certain number of the animals on the tile, between 2 and 4, and there is a distribution if you want to know before you play, but I don't know what it is. I'm sure the 4s are rare.
I actually don't know.
Maybe even distribution. I don't know.
I've played this game 150 plus times. I don't know the distribution.
And I think there's 4 different types of animals. There's definitely sheep, pigs, goats, and what?
Cows.
So there are 4 animals.
Fun fact,
there's
depends
ducks.
On your edition.
Yeah.
There's chickens in the original.
And there's ducks as an expansion.
There's ducks as an expansion, which are wild, and
what
there's
were the
chickens. Chickens, I believe, were instead of goats, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, so there's those different types of animals with the different numbers on them. And then you have your region, and I believe that besides like a building that gives you 4 points, they're the only thing that scores immediately for points if you're not completing a region. So they do get you immediate points, which is unique for the game, and you get the number of points that are on that tile of animals. So if you have a 3 pig, you'll get 3 points. Then, additionally, when you complete the region, you'll get those points. But the way that the way the animals scale, is that if you place a 3 pig, and then later you get a 4 pig, when you play it, you'll actually get 7 points.
What happens if you place another 3 pig, Meg?
And then if you place another 2 pig, you get 9. You have 9 points. So you
total
clear, all of your animals together.
You get the 7 and the 9. It happens each time.
Yes. So every time you place an animal, you get the total number of that type of animal in that area. They have to be within that same pasture. So you can see on these boards there are 2 different pastures. There's a 2 and a 4. But you can see that's why Angela is trying to place the same type of animal down in that region, and why getting other animals for the other half doesn't really matter if she changes the animal type, but I'm sure she wants those higher count animals. Now this is what I'm not positive of. If you have a 4 area region,
yes,
you place 2 pigs, they score.
Yes.
You place a goat.
Yes.
That one scores just for the goat, so you would score like the 2 points for that.
Yep.
If you place a pig again...
Yes, totally scores.
It does?
Yep.
Okay, the way I first understood it when I played, I thought that you like set it to like the next animal you were trying to play in there.
No.
But yeah, so you, even if she had to play something else down in her bottom region, she could still play another goat to get points for that.
And they don't have to touch on those pastures either, which especially is relevant only for the 2 spots. If you place the 5 and the 4 on the bottom pasture, those 2 don't touch. But larger pastures, you'll have that problem. But touching is not relevant. It's just the same pasture or not.
And that's why animals can be very strong, because assuming Angela gets a 3 for the next placement for those animals, that would be 11 points, not even completing the region. And then even if she gets a 2 after that, that's 13 points, plus the points for completing the region.
Now, we did just see Jim go ahead and complete his 4th castle. He traded in a die for 2 workers, put in his last castle, has an extra action, and gained the points for that region.
He is definitely going for those awards.
Yeah. Which on a 3-player count is going to be 6 points for completing each type of region first.
And there is a monastery that gives you 3 points at the end of the game for each of those award tiles that you have. So he could be hoping to have that come out as well. I think the monasteries are a very interesting balance of drafting what will help you throughout the game and drafting what will give you endgame scoring.
Yep.
And I think the real balance there is that at the beginning of the game, you want the ones that will help you for multiple turns. But by the end of the game, it's not as helpful that you really want to go for those ones that give you endgame scoring. Unless you need to complete the regions, which I've done.
Looks like they're just putting out the awards
yeah,
onto the board.
I think I noticed they weren't there. I didn't... Yeah. They may have been forgotten.
They're there now.
They're fighting for them, trust me. They're not super forgotten.
And that was all with my second.
Yes. Six. There's a boat.
This is just such a clean game that I think that there are
I
some
love it.
in WSBG where it's not clear to you why you lost, especially ones where people have like hands of cards and you know
Requires
that
a
you're
hard
just
one to
playing
follow.
your strategy against others. But this one, it's so clear that you can even see if you're just not playing your best game. It's like, well, they did play their best game. I think it's at least satisfying that even if you lose in this, you clearly see how you lost and why it was deserved. Not to say that the other ones aren't deserved, but sometimes it can be confusing if you don't see what that player is doing, then you can be like, you know, I think Dune is one where it's very hard to grasp what the other player's strategy is.
Yep.
And then you can just lose.
No, I found consistently the way to win a Castle of Burgundy, and it's a foolproof strategy, but it's basically just roll better.
Just roll exactly what you want every time.
Without fail, whenever I do that, I win.
There was one game that was a perfect... I got literally every single placement. I was like, I want to place this and this. I think I did.
That's
great.
what I'm talking about. Why don't you do that every time?
It was a good feeling. I tend to. Sometimes I'm going to let other people win, you know.
That's fair.
Can't be great all the time.
Spread the joy. Now, with Shaw's turn over here, it's worth noting that we have officially hit the halfway point through the game. Mm-hmm. We have just taken the 3rd turn, or we've actually just finished taking the 2nd turn of the 3rd round, which means we are now at to enter the 3rd turn, and that's going to be the halfway point, or as close as you can reasonably get without nitpicking to the nth degree. Granted, some of you might point out that it should be halfway through. Halfway through Angela's next turn is literally the halfway point of the game. If you want to be that pedantic. When she places her first die. I think that was Jim running in the background.
I just saw someone running.
I think that was Jim. I'm pretty sure it was Jim. Not the Jim playing the game, in case that's not clear.
That would be
confusing.
Time slip. Yeah, I do have to say, having played in a WSBG game, I do feel that the playtime is a bit longer because everyone is thinking out so seriously their turns, and you're trying to run the game as perfectly as possible. Like I said, if there were small mistakes made in something when you're playing a friendly game, it doesn't really matter, but for things like this, you even need to make sure that you're you know, keeping the game state and moving it along the way it should be.
Yeah, even something as simple as if I was playing a regular casual game and I rolled the dice and I knocked one, I'd be like, yeah, that was a 3, let me put back to a 3.
Right.
Versus in WSBG, I'd be like, did everyone see that was a 3? I don't
Right,
want to touch this. We all saw that, right? There's a degree of, and to be clear, having played in WSBG, I will say, to the players' credit, to the organization's credit, generally players are a little bit more firm. There is $40,000 on the line, and so take backsies and things like that are a little less casual. But for the most part, I've seen people be fairly easygoing and still kind in the way they engage.
Very gracious.
Yeah. There's more precision, but not necessarily more toughness, so to speak. Although exceptions, of course, do apply. Like there have been games where people were a bit more. Again, it's one of those tricky things. Like if a player clearly intended A, and you all acknowledge they intended A, but they actually did B. How do you deal with that? Because in a normal friendly game, you just say, of course, do B. Like obviously, or do A. You obviously that's fine. But if there's $40,000 on the line, and it matters more the closer you get. That first game might not matter so much because you're like, what's the chances anyway? But if you're in the ring tournament and I know you meant to do A, but you did B, what do?
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation.
I completely agree. And there are some times where it's so difficult that it is very hard on the people that make the mistakes as well.
Yeah. And I believe WSBG rules effectively have that if a game state is locked in and not caught by the judge or the players, the game state is still locked. You don't undo it at that point. Once the game state is locked, it's up to the players and to the judge to catch it. But if all of those people do not, the game state's locked.
Yeah, I was thinking back to my Pokemon judging days where there's a certain type of card you can only play once per turn, and there are some that would have you shuffle your hand into your deck. And someone would accidentally play 2 of that type of card, shuffle their hand in, and then you can't fix it. What can you do?
55.
Angela's still trailing consistently on the points. Again, doesn't scare me.
Yeah, she hasn't touched that animal region yet again, which I wouldn't either with the animals that are currently out. Although if I were her, I would be buying that 4 one that's in the center for her upper region.
She does have the cash to buy it. There's only farm tiles left, which means unless you're looking forward to the future, that is the play.
She may be assuming maybe people aren't going to go for it, so she has time, but I wouldn't wait for something like that. Now you can see something very clever that Angela has done, is that right now, Angela is behind Jim in turn order, but she does have a boat drafted. Now if she holds on to that until the last round and plays it, she'll be ahead for the next round. Although it does look like Shaw is also entering the boat game, so she may be trying to also jump ahead in that initiative as well.
Which also does put a degree of pressure on Jim to try to lock in those 6 points.
There's currently 1 boat left on the board?
Yes.
Yeah, so Shaw could either take front, or Angela could come up as well and get ahead of everybody. But if Jim grabs that last boat, he's got it. As you start to fill up your board and you have less and less places and options to place things, you are closer to other regions, so you can place more types of tiles, but their choices are going to start to get less and less. Jim still hasn't sold any of those goods.
Yeah. They're just sitting there. I mean, there's one more coming if you want to wait on that.
I wonder if he's hoping for a beige tile that would help him sell the goods. I know I prefer to wait for those so I don't have to waste an action doing it, but at this point... Actually, I think there is one on the 3 depot.
Yeah.
If I were him, I would buy that and use it to get rid of some of those goods.
Jim's taking his time with this one.
Yeah, for me that would be the play, and then he could complete that region down near in the center. I can just imagine how hard it is to when you have multiple good decisions in front of you, because you know that that decision is what's going to change everything for you going forward.
2 workers. Trading in a die for 2 workers. He was debating how badly he wanted that.
7 plus 6. There, so 6.
Well, I am intrigued at that play. It's not like anyone else was currently a threat for locking in those mines. And the mines only benefit you at the end of the round. Unless he's just trying to clear up his depot, which may well be. His depot is full.
I do think he wants that boat, but I think waiting a whole turn to hope you can get it again is very scary.
Yeah, the math on when to sacrifice efficiency for extra points is a fascinating conversation in this game, because instinctively I want to do as much as possible, but doing as much as possible in later rounds is not always as good as doing fewer things earlier rounds. So there's an interesting trade-off here that you have to play around.
Okay. So now Angela can't take that.
Yep.
I still think she'll be fine. There are plenty of animals that, if they're 3-point animals, that's a 1-point difference, which isn't huge.
Well, if she gets the second one, it's a 2-point difference because it scores twice.
Right, that's true.
That's the thing. These marginal points matter the earlier you're placing an animal in a field.
And there you go. Angela moved up. Now I'm surprised she moved up this turn and didn't take the boat.
That is an interesting play.
Yeah. I'm very surprised.
She might be relying on Jim being stuck in the goods, because Jim has to make an efficiency trade-off to take that 3. That same aspect you've been talking about just could be a trade-off.
Well, but he could sell.
He could.
Oh, I guess you're right. He can't sell, buy, and place.
Well, we still have another round. Well, no, we're about to enter the last round. You're right. He'd have to sell, buy, and place. Exactly. Yeah. Although, to be fair, there's a chance.
There's not that many goods out anyway, though. There's only one good.
There's a chance that the green good comes out and that he wants that.
That's fair as well.
Well, it's a guarantee that green good comes out. The question is where it comes out.
Right. Well, I was saying interesting that may be what he's holding off on.
Now I get 3.
Unclear.
5.
He got a 3. There's no 6, though, so he'd have to use a worker. So he could do a 3 and 6 placement, which
he's not going first.
Will. Oh, it's a good point. Angela's going first. That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what did Angela get?
That's what's dangerous, is that Angela could take it.
She got a 3 too. She got a 3 and a 5.
Take it.
But she doesn't even need to place it. She could just take it.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's another mine that she has?
I think she's...
Yeah, but she needs the 3 to place her mine as well.
She's taking the boat. Is she? No.
She needs the 3 to place her mine.
Interesting.
Which I think...
Yeah, I agree.
I would give up priority for that.
And she's trailing Shaw by a small margin now. Although Shaw, of course, has another turn. But again, the point distribution at this point, there's a point where you want to be afraid of it. If you're like 80 points behind, you should be mindful of that.
Yeah.
But if 40 points behind in this game doesn't mean much if you're looking at the board state.
Especially when you have animals.
I wonder if this is my most played game of all time. I wonder. I'm going to go ahead and look at my stats while we talk about here.
Mine was Ticket to Ride. I wish I logged my plays so I could have stats for them.
Okay.
Alright, so Angela did place another animal tile.
Oh, it's not my most played game of all time. I forgot. I forgot my most played game of all time.
Is it My City?
It is My City. My most played game is My City, and Castle Burgundy is number 3 with... Although it's actually, no. Castle Burgundy is my most played game of all time. Although even this is not... Let me go ahead and...
What does it say number 2 is?
No, I think I'm wrong. I had selected the wrong distribution
Time period?
Yeah. Because 77, I was like, I played it more than 77 times last year alone. Genuinely. I played it 86 times last year. So if I let my stats reset... I'm using BG stats, by the way. Not sponsored by WSBG, but, you know.
I have over 1,200 games of Ticket to Ride, so I need to calm down.
Okay, why does not... Okay, deselect. Okay. Okay. So it's hard to say for sure. My city, with 173 plays, is my most logged game of all time. The Castle of Burgundy, with 115 plays, is my most logged game of all time. But the problem is, I only started logging plays like 5 years after I got Castle of Burgundy.
Right.
So I think Castle of Burgundy is my most played game of all time if I had to make an educated guess.
Mine is easily Ticket to Ride, but my most hours is Gloomhaven.
That's fair. Gloomhaven might be most hours for me even.
Because I played through the main campaign twice, plus Jaws of the Lion.
So this. 3 points. 3 points.
So Jim did not take the boat in the end,
Points.
which is interesting.
Back.
In fact, more than that, actually, Shaw's now first place. Sure, first turn order.
Like having
Important but clear distinction.
Initiative.
seems silly, so just keep it. That's it.
Good. Die.
This is very much anyone's game at this point. We still got 2 full rounds left. Everyone's playing a tight game. This is to be expected. They've all made their way this far.
Going to be if any of the point-scoring monasteries come out in the last 2 rounds, and if the animals come out that Angela needs. Because she's really the only one building strong regions for that. Shaw has drafted a little bit for her second animal region, but I think she's hoping for the second award and not to optimize her animals at this point.
Yeah. Now, at this point, while they go ahead and engage with the setup for the 4th round over here, it's a good time to call out, or to shout out, not call out, to shout out the Dice Tower. The Dice Tower, that is the channel that you're currently watching. You're currently watching this on the Dice Tower network right now. The Dice Tower has been an incredibly helpful part of WSBG in terms of the streaming, the hosting, all the various things. So if you appreciate the Dice Tower, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so you get all the updates and notifications of all the various things, including WSBG related things that you might be interested in. You do indeed have 1 science tile so far.
That's what I was just going to say, is we do have a monastery that will score points that came out.
For the harbors.
And it's for the... Not harbors.
Are they not called harbors?
It's the one where you sell stuff.
I think they're called harbors.
Maybe.
Full disclaimer, I know how to play this game. I don't know all the names of all the various buildings,
I
including
always
whether
think
it's
of it as a
science.
seamstress, but I think that's not what it is.
I think it's a harbor. I could be mistaken.
It could be
it's
called a harbor. I just don't think it is. I'm not sure. It could be.
We're going to go ahead and Castle Burgundy building names.
I could name most of them.
I can't, actually. At this one, I
Okay,
think...
so why don't you tell me what it is and I'll name it?
So there is... I genuinely don't know most of them.
Yeah, tell me the ability and I'll tell you the name.
Oh,
I thought you were pulling them up.
The one that... I am. Building names. What's the one that lets you pull a mine, a castle, or a...
It's the
monastery?
church.
You see, I wouldn't have known that.
The yellow one?
Yeah.
The church. I believe.
What's the one that lets you pull a boat or a farmland?
That one I don't remember the name of. It's half green, half blue.
Wow, none of these. I was wrong about everything. Okay. So, it seems like we have the warehouse.
Wait, I want...
Oh, sorry. It's the warehouse. It's not the harbor. It's the warehouse.
I thought the warehouse was the one that lets you grab another beige.
Let me go get pictures here.
I believe that's what the warehouse is. You could pull up our game and hover on BGA.
Yeah. I'm not going to go through that level of
Okay.
checking on the phone. But yeah, there's a whole list of them. But there is no harbor, so I'm wrong with that.
Yeah. I believe warehouse lets you grab another beige. There's obviously the bank. I forget what the workers is called. What is the workers one called? And then town hall lets you place another.
It looks like Angela got stuck on the farmland again. We're still not seeing her goats.
No, I didn't see them come out either. But she does have something else for her top region.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly. Oh no, is that for what she needs? No, not at all.
Don't believe so.
I'm very interested to see what happens with boats because they're all at 4, which I did not expect them all to jump up on it.
Yeah.
Although Angela now has 2 blue tiles. So Angela is going for it. Now, the only thing that's unfortunate about jumping up ahead on that track is if you're the first one to hit it and then everyone else keeps going, you do become last in turn
But she
order.
is incentivized with the fact that Jim and Shaw might be competing for those other 2 remaining boats. And if they do compete, neither can go ahead of her. So for this last round, at least right now, she's guaranteed that either no one's ahead of her or only one person's ahead of her. Which is a good position to be in.
And just to get that award, I love going for those immediately, and I think she's playing a really strong game with that. Honestly, her board is looking pretty good. Another castle would be great for her, just to help her have some more efficiency.
Now, what's interesting is Angela definitely is the one who, did she take it? Did she take the science tile? Because Angela has 2 harbors. Sorry, Shaw has 2 harbors, not warehouses. I think I want to find those names. This is important.
Yeah, I'm not sure who. It does look like someone took it.
The warehouse lets you sell a good of one type.
Okay.
What is the one that gets you 4 points?
The tower.
The watchtower.
The watchtower?
What is the one that lets you take any building tile?
I thought that was the warehouse.
The carpenter's workshop.
I feel like it's called the warehouse on BGA.
I'm going by listening here.
We'll see.
What is the one that take the church you already called correctly? Mm-hmm. What is the one that's take an animal or shop tile or ship tile?
That's the one I don't know the name of.
The market.
The market.
The gain 4 workers is the
That one I don't know either.
boarding house.
The boarding house.
This is the other one I actually knew. The only one I knew apparently because I didn't know the harbor. Gain 2 silverlings.
The bank.
The bank. Add a tile of your choice to your estate from your storage area.
The town hall.
City hall.
City hall. I think it's called town hall in BGA.
I will take you at your
Yeah,
word.
how could I don't know. Maybe it is city hall. I think it's town hall in BGA. Well, that is a lot of red goods that have come
This video is not sponsored by BGA, but honestly it should be.
If that 4 depot with the last 2 goods that are also coming out.
Now Jim did grab one of the ships, which kind of puts the pressure on Shaw to determine whether she wants to, because he also placed it, which is interesting.
Well, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because now he's going to get to draft in place before Angela.
Yeah.
Because he'll have another turn before Angela gets to her 2 boats.
Yeah.
If Shaw doesn't take the boat.
That's the thing. The thing is that the whole key is if Shaw does take the boat, she can guarantee that because he placed it already, she's second in turn order for the next round for the rest of the 2 turns here. Which means if I was Shaw, I would try to take them.
Well, no, what?
Oh, Shaw went first. Shaw went first. Never mind. So you're right. It is to Jim. You're right. Good call.
And Angela can't.
Shaw's been lagging the whole game. I forgot that she actually took first in initiative. Mm-hmm. Now Jim did roll a 5 and a 3, which means he could take the boat. Ship.
I'm sure he's thinking about that now.
Angela's still nursing that coffee, which by this point cannot possibly be hot, and it's in a hot cup, which makes me think that it's just not the most efficient usage of the coffee. She's playing an efficient game, but the coffee...
How could it not possibly be hot?
It's been an hour.
Yeah.
It's
like the end.
That's a warm coffee at best.
Yeah. She's nervous.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm saying the coffee game is not as efficient as I would play it. The Castle Burgundy game is a different story.
I skipped it.
Now, did Jim go? He took the boat but didn't place it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Makes sense. It puts pressure on Angela to decide how she wants to navigate.
Oh, because she has a 5 and a 6.
Also, he once again has 3 tiles and none of the tiles out help him.
No, he only has 2 tiles.
3 goods.
Oh. There's so much to juggle in these.
It's interesting because Shaw locked in that first place for 1 turn. That's all she got.
Yeah.
That's because even when you have that first turn, there's so much to fight for. Do you fight to continue to have first turn, or do you benefit from it?
Yeah. Well, and while everyone's busy going for blues, you can be going for something else.
Spend 5 spaces.
Angela's continued to trail points. That's been consistent the whole game. Oh, now the pressure's on, because now they have to decide. Angela and Jim have to decide whether they're fighting over, if I recall correctly, it's 6 points or 3 points.
Oh, but see, now Angela's turn will be before Jim's, so she actually does have another chance to play that last blue.
That's an incentive to go ahead and lock in these 6 points, which is a 12-point swing from... If she can get the 6 points over Jim, there we go.
Alright, 6 big. 21.
And right about now, you see why you don't have to worry about people being behind in this game. Because she's going to get 21 points for the size, plus another 4 points for the round. That's going to be 25, plus the 6 points. That's going to be 31 points. And boom, goes the dynamite.
Keep this, right?
Yes. It's yourself.
You know, though, they're all playing a very satisfying board. Like, all of these things that we're seeing them do, we're pretty much calling what we think they're going to be playing.
At this point, Shaw's probably going to be locking in the signs. Jim got the mines and the castles. Buildings are anyone's game right now.
They're all going for it, which makes the most sense, because they give you the most flexibility.
And Angela's probably getting the farmland.
Did anyone buy the monastery that lets you place the 2?
I'm not confident.
I feel like Shaw might have, but I'm not confident
again,
in that.
seeing from over here, it could be in that upper depot.
Oh, it could be right there.
Oh, that's
I think that's it.
possible. Well, if he has, we haven't seen him benefit from it yet.
My goodness. Whose turn is it currently? Is it Jim's?
I believe so.
I mean, he could still take initiative for the next round.
Yeah, that was the trade-off. The trade-off was that Angela got the early placement, but he can lock in first player for the entire next round, not giving Angela the turn. And again, we've said this so many times.
Turn.
Well, yeah, I'm saying she won't have the opportunity to ever reclaim first initiative.
And that's the trade-off.
That is the trade-off. There's lots of trade-offs in this game, in case we didn't say so already.
Would you have done it?
I usually am very rarely the first person to get boats. But is
like,
the
I feel like the trade-off is only the point difference between first and second for the region,
yes,
which is 3 points?
Well, so I have to remember, I think it's 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. So meaning 6 and 3. So it'll be a 3-point difference, which means a 6-point swing. I don't know if that's worth it. Yeah. But you also have to factor in the fact that if you don't do it this round, you're also losing another 2 points from not getting around. So you're talking about potentially 8 points.
And something else that is just like a personal thing when you're playing, but I love completing those regions so that you don't have to ever think about that color again. She doesn't even have to look at blue, she doesn't have to draft it or think about it, and I like it when I play like that as well.
Okay. 4th turn of the 4th round.
We're almost there. Now, pretty soon, I think we'll start to be able to guess who we think may be winning this.
Oh.
Yeah, it's tough to see what monasteries they have.
That's the thing. I'm not seeing giant swings of endgame points right now, but again,
Yes, please.
we are further from the table.
Yeah.
No, I don't think many came out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of them were ability based.
Yeah, there is the one that was the 4 for the warehouses, but...
Honestly, the real question at this point is when Angela's coffee is going to be done.
I knew as soon as you put the cup down that you can say something about the
I was like,
coffee.
how is it still there?
You should do segments at WSBG of just like, so what coffee are you drinking today to prep for WSBG?
It was, not to go off too much on a tangent, but I remember one time I watched a video of a deposition. It was a 4-hour-long deposition that was both immensely entertaining and had the person being deposed sipping from his coffee cup the entire time for 4 hours. And the comment section on that YouTube video is like, that is either an infinite, like everyone's going on about how it's either an infinite cup of coffee or it's just a strategy to remain cool. Like, oh, it's all cool. It's all cool.
Right.
But it's a never-ending coffee cup.
That's weird.
The entire time the guy's going, not the best of my recollection. Not the best of my recollection. I don't recall that. It's a fun video.
You watched it for 4 hours?
No, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay.
Oh, but I could have. Just to be clear, I could have. Something to do with like mobile homes or something. I don't even remember. Well, I guess I clearly remember a little. It was weird.
It was a deposition about mobile homes?
Something like that. Like there were different stores that were selling mobile homes or something. Maybe RVs. I don't remember exactly.
If you guys have also seen this video, let us know in the comments below.
There is someone out there who knows exactly the video I'm talking about and knows that it is comedy gold despite being about a deposition.
If anyone thinks right now that they know who is going to win, give this video a like.
Does that mean if you don't know who's going to win, you shouldn't like the video?
I don't know. I just thought it. I don't know. Oops. I'm sure you know. You got an idea. You can be wrong.
If you think someone definitely does win this game, go ahead and give the video a like.
Yeah. If you've been watching up to this point, give this video a like. If you play board games, give this video a like.
If you support the Dice Tower, give this video a like.
If you have a dice set collection, give this video a like.
If you didn't yet like this video, give this video a like.
If you love board games so much you sleeve your cards, give this video a like.
I'm all out.
I was like, oh man.
We're board gamers. Of course we like this video.
We're board gamers. Of course we'll spend 2 hours watching someone else play a game.
That's on point.
That's what it is, Alex, clearly. Angela's not having coffee. That's her girl dinner.
I think we're starting to like segment down the rabbit hole of various pop cultures, YouTube videos, reels, and who knows what.
Alright, so we have one last turn, and then the final round.
Thanks.
Which is a very hard round, because you get so little points for everything unless you're completing those big regions. It can be a little disheartening.
Yeah, there's nothing more disappointing in Castle Burgundy than your final like turn trading in dice for like, you know, hey, I'll take 2 workers because it's a point.
Because it'll give me 1 point at the end, yeah.
But then again, to a certain extent, it means you were a little bit efficient, but like you want that perfect efficiency, but it's impossible to get. You're either not completing something you were trying to, or you're, you know, trading in for 2 workers.
Yeah.
Just to throw it away.
I also hate that point in Castles of Burgundy when I'm like, I just need 1 more coin. And then I'm in the situation where Angela is, where you can't get any more goods. It's like, okay, coins will never come. They're not coming.
Well, Angela does actually have 3 goods on
Right.
Which I know you weren't saying, but yeah. Okay. Last turn of round 4.
So 6 turns left, honestly.
Yep. You have another 3 and 5 from Jim, which I think I've seen that combination a lot from Jim. Which, by the way, another frustrating thing in Castle of Burgundy when you manage to get the same combination again and again. Especially if it's doubles.
You can't draft anything. Yeah, I do think if I was in this position, I would prefer it to be a game like this, where it's more of, I mean, you are still drafting against other people, but it's more of a personal puzzle, as opposed to something directly competitive.
Yeah, and there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, but one is that just the more impact somebody else has in your game, the more it can be frustrating by, like, I didn't even lose because I played, I lost because somebody else targeted me or something like that. But then past that, like Dune Imperium in particular, there are amount of times I've played Dune Imperium where I'm like, I will hold on to my unit so I can win this battle. And then somebody else is like, actually, this is the time I decided to go all in too. And you're like, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Which again, you have to play around that. That is part of the game. At the end of the day, you have to play the players and the game. What?
At the end of the day, you have to play the players and the game. Alex Radcliffe, Board Game Cup.
Yeah.
2 and 3 plus 4, 7.
There she goes.
That's
Yeah,
all
she's got to
fascinating.
be hoping that those animals come out. If I were her, I would maybe even purchase the higher count animals now, just in case. But that is inefficient, so I can understand not wanting to do it.
Yeah, I saw a fascinating post on BGG the other day about somebody who was commenting on they had an incredibly high ELO rating on Board Game Arena for a specific game. I don't remember what it was, but they found that what was interesting is that while they almost always won against experienced players, they were finding incredibly frustrating that they would consistently lose against new players. That the way they approached the game worked well against players who played the game.
Do you know what game it was?
I don't remember. I don't remember. But they just like they're like I'm good at the game against players who play the game correctly. But as soon as I'm thrown against a wild card, all my strategy goes out the window.
Weird.
And I just thought it was fascinating.
A game that's been added to WSBG this year is Lost Ruins of Arnak. And that's one that I do think I'm very competitive at, but I think at higher player counts, I'm very curious to see different strategies, because it's one that I don't think I understand multiple strategies for it the way I do for something like Castles of Burgundy.
What's your go-to strategy?
Monsters. Just killing all the monsters.
And at a 4-player count, there's less monsters to go around.
And either way, like the most recent game I'm currently playing, I have 5 of the monsters out of 12, and everyone else is sharing the other 7, but I'm just not sure how it will do.
Track. White die.
And Jim is officially locked in. First initiative. Not necessarily for the rest of the game. I imagine that if I had to make a prediction, I would say Shaw locks in that first player on turn 2 of the next round.
She's filled up that region enough that it's worth it for the points alone.
That's what I'm saying. So I think turn 2 of next round. So first and second turn she won't be first. I think starting turn 3,
Honestly,
4, and 5.
If I was Shaw, I would draft what I want to and wait on the water. No one else is going to be taking it whatsoever. That I would draft more important things first and let the water tiles sit, because no one else is going to take them.
But if she gets in that first player, she now has first pick for the rest of the round.
Yeah.
So on that final round can come down to it. Is Jim directly on top of Angela in points right now?
I don't know.
Well, do you see Angela's point marker anywhere?
No, but I thought it was further ahead. But maybe not.
Jim's all the way up the top.
Yeah. I thought Angela made it a little bit further over the goods, but I could be wrong. It could be right on top, which is crazy.
And again, that point spread does make sense. You know, if Shaw's the only one who has completed the 21-point region, that's 21 points coming her way that the others have already seen.
Wow.
As we refill for the next round, Meg, do we have any sponsors left? Or shoutouts?
I don't think we have any sponsors left.
We can come up with one.
Shout out to Dice Tower East. I want to go.
Oh, we did Dice Tower already.
know.
Oh, okay. Well, we just
We
like
should
them.
figure something else
These
out.
people like Dice Tower.
I have a good shoutout. Shout out to Chris George from Room and Board.
Yeah.
Chris George does a lot of the work for WSBG. Oh, looks like they had a little coffee break or bathroom break. Well, I guess bathroom break because of the coffee break. But Chris George does a lot of the video editing work for WSBG. He's a fantastic individual. I'm sure you've seen him on various WSBG videos, and he has his own channel, Room and Board. He is an immensely entertaining video who recently, under his list of accomplishments, you could include the fact that he did the board game Oscars, which had a different name. I think they were like the Rabies, if I'm not mistaken. But the board game Oscars is the video you want to search for on...
I don't think it's the Rabies.
I think it was the Rabies. I think it was the Rabies. I think it was. I know it sounds weird. This is Chris George right now. So check out the board game Oscars, I believe called the Rabies, on his channel. And then additionally, you can check out the, I think it's called the Duck Rap or the Board Game Duck Rap or something like that. But you can check that out over on Kagan Productions on their YouTube channel. Chris George just recently did a board game rap video. Meg, have you seen that video?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dear Lord.
I haven't.
Oh, dear Lord. I'm not in control of the production. I know I can't, but I'm not in control of the production on this video. But Chris George might be. If we wanted to do a small segment where we threw in the duck rap, I think that'd be great. Right about now. Maybe. In any case, the new science styles that are out right now. So Room and Board, Chris George, Room and Board, check out those things I told you. Past that, we have the trading a worker for an extra silverling, which at this point feels like a waste. The only reason I would draft that is to get in those extra points of finishing off the science using at this point in the game. But either way.
So you said rabies, which I believe you, maybe that's true. But since we've been talking about different things we've seen on the internet tangentially.
This is a scary sentence to always start off with.
I was watching this video of these two girls being like, really good baby names if there was no context. So like rabies. Super cute. Super cute baby name. Hey baby raby! But if you don't know what rabies is, right?
It's not a great baby name otherwise.
Clorox. Oxy. You know? But if you didn't know what that meant. Rosacea. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Hypertension. Not as good. But some words would be really cute baby names.
Well, I mean, once we're doing that.
Just like...
So there's a guy who had twins. He had twins, little boy and a little girl. And the problem is the mother, like, you know, everything's all healthy, but she's in the hospital all incapacitated, and she's like a very difficult childbirth and wasn't there for it. And the husband was like out of town, that he wasn't there for the baby naming. And unintentionally, I don't know how this happened, but his brother ended up naming the kids, like, while he was gone. Like, there's a whole miscommunication. It wasn't supposed to happen. And he was like, dear Lord, my brother's an idiot. Like, I'm upset that, like, he named the kids. I don't know what he named them. He's not someone who should be naming the kids. And so he called up his wife, and he's like, well, what did he name them? He's like, well, he called the girl Denise. He's like, Denise? That's not bad, actually. That's not bad. I can work with Denise.
Nephew.
He called the boy the nephew.
I got there before you did.
Yeah.
Taco. Taco would be so cute. Hey, Taco. Taco played soccer today.
Taco's actually not bad.
Celsius.
It's so harsh. Celsius I don't like at all.
Okay.
Even Clorox, that was too harsh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was thinking of like a board game name. You know how there's Symmetra from, is that Overwatch?
Symmetra's Overwatch, yes.
I was thinking like Asymmetra.
Asymmetra. A variety of topics we're up to in this point in the video. So it's currently Jim's turn. Jim is currently analyzing his move, trying to figure out what to do. There's a lot to think about on the first play.
He currently has, I believe, a tower, but that actually I think it might be the church one.
It does look like it could be the church. He does want to finish off that 3 spot. At this point, they're all trying to finish off. Well, actually, Angela's not even trying for it now. I'm not sure if Angela will or won't go for that spot of buildings. Instinctively, I don't think she will.
She's going to go for it. Now, did any of the animals... Oh my gosh, wait, is that what she needs?
She does, in the 6th spot and the middle.
I was gonna say the middle, but is that wrong?
The 6th spot and the middle both have the goats she's looking for.
Is
so
it just twisted?
the question is, right now, Jim might be analyzing.
And they're both 4.
Because Jim could play the
denial game. Wait, they're both
game.
4. That she would have 4, 4, 4, and 4, correct?
I think it's a 3, 4, 4, 4, but I could be wrong. It might be a 3, 3, 4, 4.
You're right. 3, 4, 4.
I'm loving the way.
3, 4, 3, 4. So.
Yeah. But right now, there we go. I thought Jim would do it. See, Jim has a 2 spot. So if he denies her even one of those, it really lowers her benefit and not at the cost of him. And she's his direct competitor.
Right.
That might be
a huge amount of points taken.
Yeah.
She'll still be able to complete that area, but it is a huge amount of points lost.
It's a big ding. Whether or not he places it, I think that was the big analyzing. Do I play the denial game against the person who is my current direct competitor? And Shaw's thinking, like, this is great for me. Shaw's like, that is Shaw's game. Like, have the 2 people currently ahead of her competing on those points. And again, keep in mind, Shaw does have 21 points likely coming her way. 23 points technically.
Yeah, I think for that point differential, if I had been Angela, I would have waited for priority. As opposed to completing the blue region first.
I think especially when you take into account that she does need those farm animals, that is the big play.
Right. And it's hard to
because you can't afford that kind of play. And she has a 6. Like Jim saw, she had the 6. She was prepped to go. She had everything she needed. Even now, she'll still take the 6. I think if Jim knew he could have got them both, it wouldn't even be a hesitation.
Right.
But with both, with getting one of them, it's a question. Although he didn't have the tile space for 2. He'd have to have placed it as well. But I guess if one was a purchase, he could have bought, placed, bought. Sorry, taken, placed, bought.
Right. Yeah, if I was Shaw, I would wait and let all of those depots fill up with goods and take them at the end. And complete the region.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You're right, because it's not just turn order the depots could be a factor. She has completely empty depots.
Yeah, she can grab a whole, and where a lot of those are similar.
But if she waits too long, you know, if the goods remaining at the end of the game are worth 1 point each, a soul good is 3 points. If she can sell a stack of them, that could be a nice chunk of points. Whereas not clearly the same amount when you don't sell the stack of them. Angela is indeed locking that in. It's still worth a chunk of points to her, and she still has to be scared of Jim taking it if he otherwise gets an opportunity. It's a disappointing way to end her set of tiles, but it's still the right move.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that? What did she do wrong?
Did she not have the right die?
Does she not have space? Does she not have space?
Oh, she went to put it on top of a monastery.
She's just rethinking her turn at this point.
I hate that because she showed what her thoughts are. That's really tough.
It's true. She showed that she's worried about having a denial turn, which makes sense. If you look at the other players right now, both Shaw and Jim have an extra animal tile, but could benefit from one more. Shaw to complete her terrain, and Jim to go ahead and get
Shaw
that extra.
Is certainly going for it because
it
would make the most sense for her to try to get the first 6 points.
Oh wow, is she giving up on it entirely? What a disappointing way to have that turn out.
And confusing.
Wow.
Because she has a church that can help her grab a castle.
That is fascinating. To a certain extent, it makes sense. If you have to give up something.
Oh, she's going to place the castle to take an animal. Potentially.
Reaction.
She got the second castle tile. She locked that in. Shaw's actually in an interesting position where she couldn't have even placed the second castle right now. And she's still taking that. So it makes sense. It's still a chunk of points, and it still puts the pressure on their opponents. So it still points for her regardless.
And she completed a region. She got the other award tile. I think that was a good play. She's switching to water, Alex.
It's an unfortunate play, but sometimes you
Gotta
get to the end
hydrate.
of Castle Burgundy.
Have some water.
Sometimes you get to the end of Castle Burgundy and the best tiles are no longer available, so you have to take something that's not as good for you, like water over coffee. Now, I agree with you. Shaw should be focusing on those animal tiles, and she didn't take that. She had a 3. She didn't take the last animal tile. And if she doesn't, then she's opening up the door. Now, again,
Everyone
there are trade-offs.
is scrambling right now for the last tiles that they feel they need.
Even just the buildings, though, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings left. There's 2 buildings in the center as well. So there are buildings. There's still building flexibility, and I think we can all agree that Angela is likely not trying for that 6th spot.
Absolutely. It would be really smart for her to complete that key region, but I'm not sure if that's what she'll do.
That last round of Castle Burgundy is generally where you start to try to figure out the execution of everything you've been working towards.
And you start counting, because what you definitely don't want to do is overdraft tiles that you can't even place. You don't want to be left with an inefficient turn at the end where you have too many tiles. So I'm sure they're counting now and deciding, should I just take workers for a round? Should I sell goods? What should I do?
As disheartening as it is to trade into a die for 2 workers, that's still a point. And
it gives you flexibility that if you do it this turn, as opposed to future turns, then you can still place the things that you're trying to place.
I don't know about you, Meg. Twice now, at least twice, possibly more, Castle Burgundy to me has come down to an actual tie. To a literal tie where you had to go for the tiebreaker. That's happened to me at least twice. Now, granted, out of 150 plus plays, so that makes sense. But that means that 1 point does matter. Will it matter most of the time? No, but it can matter.
And what is the tiebreaker?
Oh, there's a whole system that I don't pretend to know.
Least things placed?
There's something about how, like, I think it might be least things placed, but there's a sequence for it, but I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't happen often enough that I remember it offhand.
Why'd you bring it up?
Because it does happen.
I can only imagine the way this feels right now.
I wonder if Shaw thinks she has
Especially
a
for
chance.
Jim and Angela.
Because Shaw does have the most science. Monasteries. Jeez. Shaw, and she does have that 23 points coming her way. And she likely is finishing that building spot. Possibly even all the building spots. So I think Shaw's still in the game.
Yeah, I think Angela getting that animal spot, she is going to jump ahead. Both Shaw and Angela need to complete their 4-region animal spot, and then it's anyone's game, I think.
See, now I'm wondering, I think there's a decent chance. Like, Shaw I was thinking of as a third place player for the past few turns, but I think there's a decent chance she comes in second. Like, she has a lot of points just sitting there waiting. Which is something we said about Angela for the first half of the game, and now we're saying about Shaw.
You know, we've been doing all these shout-outs. Shout out to 2 women in this finalist game. That's very, very exciting. Now, I'm not sure if we know why this was only a 3-player game.
I don't.
But I assume it's because there was multiple ring winners again. Because there are 16 games, so that's 16 winners.
Yes.
But if one person wins multiple ones, then you have less players. Like in the example where Gray won.
That is most likely the option.
So this year, I wonder if we had multiple ring winners, and that's why we only have a 3-player game.
Which is interesting because it's both a good thing and a bad thing. There's less competition, but at the same time, a lot of these players are going to be practicing around the ideal player count.
Yeah.
And you play these games differently. In a 4-player game of Castle Burgundy, there's a greater chance everything will be seen. And once you know everything's going to be seen, first player matters more. In a 2-player game, first player having initiative the entire time is less relevant because A, less competition, but also B, locking in first player to guarantee a tile that may never show up is not as strong as guaranteeing a tile that will show up. So there's different ways to approach the strategy of these games at different player counts, and that can be an interesting side effect of having this play out. Now, Patchwork was in last year's WSBG, right? But not this year. Did they get rid of 2-player games entirely, or are there any 2-player experiences?
I don't think there are any other 2-player games that were on the docket.
And do we know if in 2024, do we know if Heat's going to be a 4-player game, or who knows?
I believe.
4-player? Because it plays a variety of player counts.
Yeah, I believe just for them preparing and planning for things, I think they're all 4-player games.
That makes sense.
I believe.
I liked the wild card introduction of a 2-player game, but I do think it makes things a little more complicated.
Goats, yeah.
8 points. Yeah.
For 4.
Okay.
Jim's ahead, but not quite a confident ahead.
I think he is not liking his options. Although he is very close to completing all of the buildings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He's actually a little bit closer than Shaw, I think.
Shaw has 2 left, and Jim has 2
Those
left.
are her mines that I was
The difference is Shaw has a building already drafted, so she's 1 action closer to being able to complete it. And I believe it's a carpenter's workshop, which means she's really only 2. She could complete it next turn, as far as I can see.
Right.
If she has a 1 and a 5. Well, actually, it's right now turn. She has a 5. I can't see her other die at the moment, so I don't know what that is. But she has a 5, which means it could even be a this turn placement.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
Last turn.
That's right.
Didn't take it.
I didn't take it.
Because I would also be worried
Yeah,
about what
that
could be
risk.
drafted in between. And it does look like there's a bank out there.
Which is interesting
Although
as well.
she already has a bank. I'm not sure if she has more beige tiles she can play.
Right here.
See, again, this is where something that stinks. She could put
So that's
the carpenter shop in both of those
She put
places.
the 1. She's pulling. She did have 1 and a 5.
So
She did. And this is interesting, though, because I wonder, this could even be something as much as king-making to a degree. Unintentional king-making, but by denying Jim the points of anything, for that matter, it does change the entire structure of how things can play out.
Yeah.
So right about now, she placed the 5. She should be doing so. She is doing so.
5.
She's going to go ahead and get a chunk of points right now. She got the 21 points, 23 points from finishing the 6. She also has the 2 points plus another 4,
And she
so
played a
10.
tower, so that's 4
That's
points.
another 4 points. And she gets the 7 points, 6
She-
points from the tile.
I figured
Yep,
I was like, I
and
can't
boom.
do you.
And there we are.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's not happening for me.
Yeah, Angela, I think, will play that last animal.
And she still
have a
has
very
the
good-
boats.
That's true.
It's still 23 points for those boats, depending how this goes.
She's got to grab those.
This is not just king making. This might be a play.
She needs to grab them. But are the boats going to be more than the animals for Angela?
Which is interesting too, because we can see where some of the points are coming into play. Like we know Angela has those. We know Shaw has the additional boats as a possible, not a guarantee, but a possible 23 points. We know Jim has another 23 points coming too from completing the 6th region and then getting the secondary points for completing the buildings, which is another 3. So again, giant chunks of points coming his way. Shaw's a little less. Angela's a little
And
less clear in terms
Shaw
of where.
is able to grab those 3 goods now as well if she plays the boats.
Yeah.
So that's even slightly more points for that play as well.
Yeah, another 3 points guaranteed, let alone the sale. Good call.
Well,
Yeah.
and she'll play 2 boats, so that's at least 4 points. But if another one lands with the 2, if the green lands there, then that's
Yeah.
even better.
There's a lot. There's a lot to think about. This is Castle of Burgundy. Designed by Stefan Feld, the number 17 highest game on BGG. A game that is not going anywhere and has not gone anywhere, although I'm disappointed it's not higher. Like, there are some great games that have been in the number 1 spot. Like, Castle of Burgundy is well acclaimed, but has never managed to be as high as it needs to be to take the number 1 at any given point.
I think Castles of Burgundy is such a great, strong game, but the only thing about it is, like, that player board isn't, or the main game board isn't, you know, beautiful, bright colors that are more
Visually
prevalent in
aesthetic.
games now. Yeah, where I know that Awakened Realms tried to do the beautiful version, which is absolutely beautiful, but if you're not playing with that version, it doesn't really have as much table presence as
Yeah.
some games do.
Bank. Because I don't.
Because you don't have enough. That's right.
Sure enough, Jim is trying to complete the region. Makes sense. It's an easy 23 points for him.
And a bank is a great choice, because that's 2 points as
Guaranteed,
well,
yeah.
with the leftover money.
4 turns left.
Now I can see a 2 on Shaw's board. We got, is that double 4s on Angela's board? What a time to get double 4s. Can she do much with that? Well, one of them can be for a farm tile.
Well, Jim is going now. Oh, it's Jim and then Angela.
Yeah. So she'll use one of the 4s to complete her farm.
And then she could play that church.
Does she have a 4 spot for it? She probably wants the 6 spot.
Or
49 for the.
she could draft a last animal.
Right.
She does have workers, so If I were her, I would draft the left animal that you need, which I think is on 3 for her.
She has all animals.
Yes.
Angela or Shaw?
Oh,
Angela's got all
Angela.
animals.
I thought she just played. I didn't realize she had it.
Oh, wrong color. My bad.
So that's a nice little buffer to pad against the 23 points that Jim's going to get.
Well, and she hasn't taken the award yet, I don't think.
Yeah, she just did. She just took the 6.
She took the point.
9.
Is she selling goods? What's she doing?
Yeah, she said I'll sell these 3.
That's 9 points.
And a money.
There's nothing.
Which is another point, technically.
This is starting to pull ahead. This is where Angela's points come in. I didn't like there's additional 9 points in the goods.
I told you those animals completing that region is going to be really great, especially if you do it first because of the award. Animals, when the strategy works, are great. The issue is that sometimes you can't always complete it and the strategy doesn't work.
And Jim, even with Jim playing the denial game, with Jim not playing the denial game, that would have been additional, like, I don't know the exact math in the counters, but like 11, 12 points, if not more.
Yeah.
4, 4, 3, that'd be like
Looks
14
like
points, yeah. But it's an additional, you don't count the one.
I'm counting the ones that are there, so like 10, I think.
Yeah.
9 or 10.
Second last round. Second last turn. Second last turn of the game.
I want to roll with the cup.
I want to play the game.
Do we want to tack that onto the end of this video? Just the gameplay of us playing Castles of
I
Burgundy?
think that would be extreme.
For our video, Castles of Burgundy.
We have a 6 and a 3 from Shaw, a 1 and a 3 from Jim, and then a 5 and a 5 from Angela. Again with the doubles.
Double 5s. Not great, but
It's
not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, she does have the 6 that she wants to place. And she does have a worker, so she'll be able to place that to complete that region.
Yeah, for the second last turn, that's a safe play to lock in, you know, an additional. It's the 1, 3, 6. It's going to be 8 points for the size of the region, plus, of course, the tile itself.
Yeah, complete as many regions as possible at this point.
Yeah, this is the thing. You have to, especially when you're playing a 3 or 4 player game as opposed to a 2 player game, you kind of want to early on figure out which regions are you not completing. Where are you not bothering going for those extra placement zones? Because you only get the extra bonus for being the first or second, and in a game this tight, that things matter.
Get 2 dollars from the building. 6.
Jim just locked in his 23 points. That's going to shoot him back up, although still behind Angela.
8 plus 3.
All right. So it looks like they've completed all of their regions besides the monasteries, which is very interesting because I think that's a really smart one to go for.
2, 2. So, it's massive. Goods. 3 points. Another down. Goods.
And there, look at this game.
I know.
Like, even if Jim loses, I wonder if he loses by only 6 points, that will 100% be Shaw king-making him. But again, king-making is an interesting concept in its own right. But
and I don't think it was intentional for him.
Yeah, you have to play the best game you have to play, and Shaw is very much in this game. Although I guess with this jump forward, maybe... No, she still has the 23 points in the boats if she can get them.
Yeah.
Can she? She has
She
one.
did take one.
I think she's overcommitted.
I do think so, too.
She is behind, so she has a total of 4 turns left, 4 placements left.
She has too many tiles.
Yeah, she can't do it all. At best case scenario, she needs 5 placements to complete everything she's trying to do, so she has to give up something. Although since she can't complete the farmland, giving up the farmland, yeah. If she can do the boat's the right play. She has the 3 to get the remaining ship. A 6 can place it, so she absolutely can place it and then take the last boat ship. Yeah.
And I think she drafted that animal tile last round, so it could have just been a denial thing as well.
Yeah.
And see, she's taking all those goods. Pretty good.
But once again, that forced Jim into a denial state. Although Jim put his animal into the open terrain, which is interesting. I guess he never anticipated closing it off. As opposed to a 2 spot, which is what I would have assumed.
Right. I wonder if it was just the die that he had.
Okay. Now, this last roll of Castle Burgundy is always where you sit there and you're like, I don't have enough workers. I need to get at least one of my numbers and then one next to one of my numbers.
Shaw wants a 5.
She got it.
And then whatever's going to place that yellow for her if it helps her with scoring.
She got the 5 already.
If not, I would use the other one to sell goods.
Yeah. Angela has a 4 and a 3. Jim has a 1 and a 5. This is a game. This is a game. At this point, I think Angela has a lead that I don't think Jim can catch up on.
I can't really tell what their monasteries
endgame scoring, yeah, endgame
that's
scoring.
the only thing is, I know they were drafting some throughout it, and everyone does kind of have a few. Jim, it looks like it has 3. Angela has 3, and Shaw will end up with 4 or 5. So there is a decent amount out there, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. Very, very close.
The game's so close, guys. Verse 3. Sorry.
Now, I am curious what Angela's last play is, because she does still have that church that would grab her a yellow, but that doesn't actually matter. So I wonder if she does have 2 coins and can buy whatever that BH tile is in the middle. She could complete that region. And if not, I would just sell goods. Oh, she doesn't have goods, though.
No, she's all out.
Make workers. If you can't complete that 1 in 6 region, I would make 4 workers.
Brutal of defeat, so I am going to place that there.
Yeah, I think she took the workers,
Which gets me the
which makes sense.
66.
23 points.
Man, you're first.
And finally.
Here's her white deck.
It's not enough.
And then for 1,
It's a close last roll.
end.
Shaw does have the most monasteries. I don't know the
Right,
point
right.
scoring.
Get in.
And income.
Yes, the next incoming. 3.
All right.
And that's a game of Castle Burgundy. Time to
Well,
go ahead and
yeah,
score it
let's
up and see how it
let's
goes.
see. The game's not done yet. Calculating. Do, do, do.
Thank you, gotcha.
Look at
What do you
all
think,
the coins.
Alex?
I think it's Angela's game.
Hello.
Just looking at I think the monasteries are on Shaw's side, but I don't think there's enough of a clear
so
distinction.
First is
And I think Jim
unsold
doesn't have a...
He just called it science.
2.
He called it science?
He just said the science.
Okay. Then money.
5, 6, 7.
Silverlings.
7. About 87.
Look at Jim's board.
2, 3.
Angela had 7 money.
Oh, Angela 7? So it's Jim as well. He's Jim's board there?
So that puts me at 95.
8.
11.
11, dear lord.
Oh, you got me here too.
That's 3.
Oh my gosh.
This is... I still think Angela got it.
2. Guys, up.
Well, spoiler alert.
What are you worried about?
And I have
We know
1.
who wins.
Oh, heck yeah. What are you worried about?
Yeah. That's
12. 12.
Yeah, and you have
I have
8.
8.
She had the one for sold goods.
4. 5.
And she has
She's got points.
Did it come down to those 6 points?
200, so I get
8 from that one.
8 for the animals.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7.
No, 7 points.
And,
7.
8 for this one.
85.
Now this is where I've seen you shoot up in points sometimes.
Oh,
when you have the synergy with the different scoring ones.
That one.
I go for endgame.
90.
Don't think of me as a threat the
I
whole
beat
way.
you pretty often.
Don't draft tiles away from me.
That's it.
You got it.
Guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys. A very
Nicely
nice
played.
game.
Good job.
Stupid goats on that
I
last
thought you
round.
had it for sure.
Wow.
Good game, Angela.
212.
What a great game.
212.
Good job, Angela.
205.
Good job, everybody. Good job, Jim and Shaw.
Goats.
That was a very, very competitive game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at how competitive that scoring is. It's very, very tight.
That was incredible.
Very, very well played by everybody.
Anyways, that's a game of Castle Burgundy. That is your wing finalist events for 2023 for Castle Burgundy. You've been watching this on the Dice Tower Network. I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg, and I hope to see you at WSBG 2024.
Use coupon code IAMIN for $50 off your ticket.
See you there.
Bye.